Good evening, I'm Jeff Koinange, and this is Jeff Koinange Live. Tonight, it's all about getting to the bottom of the Garissa attack, the genesis, if you will. 2 weeks ago, most of you know the story. Nearly 2 weeks ago, 147 killed on the campus of the Garissa University College. Soon after the attacks, the Grand Mullah himself tweeted that it was a homegrown attack and that local leaders of the region knew who the perpetrators were. Fast forward, few days later, Majority Leader Aden Duale calls a press conference along with his fellow leaders from the north, and they announced that they knew the people who were aiding and abetting and funding the terrorists. The entire country was in an uproar. Why did he give this list if he knew it before the attacks? Why now? Better yet, why wait 30 days? That is the question. Tonight, we have managed to bring both those combatants on JKL. Forget about the rumble in the jungle, the thriller in Manila, even Mayweather versus Pacquiao. Tonight, it's the Grand Mullah versus what someone on Twitter called the Spitfire. Honorable Aden Duale, Member of Parliament for Garissa Town and also House Majority Leader. His Twitter handle is @HON Aden Duale. The Grand Mullah, Ahmednassir Abdullahi, also publisher of the Nairobi Law Monthly. His Twitter handle is simply Ahmednassir Law. Mine, @Koinange. The hashtag is JKL. I know you've all been waiting for this show. We're going to try and make it as civil as we can. Send your tweets. Please be polite. There's been a lot of abuse on social media, especially towards the Majority Leader. After all, he is a leader. Let's give him that respect. Sit back. Fire extinguisher check. Sonko rescue team check. Recce squad coming by road. It is time. Mheshimiwa Grand Mullah, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Mheshimiwa, we'll start with you first because your colleagues in Parliament, as early as yesterday, Tuesday, they're calling you a terrorist, quote, terrorist. Kenyans on Twitter are saying, arrest Duale. Because you have the list, you knew the list, and you're giving us 30 days. Your thoughts, sir?
One, let me first say that I want to send my condolences to the 147 young promising Kenyans who died in my constituency. People should be sending me condolences, not telling me arrest Duale. But those who called me, one member of parliament called me a terrorist. I have no regret. Today I told him, thank you very much. Because he's never made his maiden speech. The member from Mavoko. That was his maiden speech in 2 years. I think he was waiting for the word called Duale a terrorist.
This was his first time to speak.
I went this afternoon through the handset, and I want to tell the people of Mavoko, your member of parliament has made the maiden speech 2 years, 4 months. So that guy, I've forgiven him. Honorable member of parliament from Mavoko. But, you know, Jeff, the matter before us, terrorism, is a serious matter in our country. Both homegrown terrorism and external terrorism. Al-Shabaab have been there with us for a number of times. And from the records, there are more Kenyans now who are fulfilling the attacks that Al-Shabaab is doing in our country. A lawyer, for instance, and we want government in the next 3 days to tell us the identity of the other 3 people. I mean, the country must know.
Is it known? I'm
sure they will know. They must have got the fingerprints. But as the leadership of Northeastern Province, at times of crisis, we must offer leadership. And I want to say tonight that what we did in the last 7 days, after we did our press conference, and I did it on behalf of the leadership that I lead, 34 members of parliament and 3 governors, and a cabinet secretary from our region. That is a collective. It's not about Honorable Duale. I read a statement from the leadership of Northern Kenya. We talked about 4 issues. 1, we want our community to take the lead in the war against Al-Shabaab. That is fundamental.
Do you have the list?
Let me finish. And we said we will go and sensitize the communities, and within 1 month, we will make sure our own people, our own parents, our communities, give us an of how many of our youth have joined Shabab.
Why 1 month? Why 1 month?
Let me finish. Because we have done all the sensitization, and now a lot of names are coming, parents are coming out. Before they could not face the security forces. There was fear, there was stigma. But now with the leadership at the front, they can even bring the names to us. They can bring, we have given them a hotline number in Nairobi for the counter-terrorism center. And we want to take the lead. Taking the lead as a community, as a leadership in the war against Al-Shabaab is a crime. We're telling Honorable Duale to arrest for what? One, I'm a member of parliament. I won't step aside. I'm a member of parliament for Garissa. And for your information, I'm not in the list of shame.
You're not in the list of shame, but we don't know whether you're part of the people who are funding the terror. We don't know.
No,
hold the thought. Grand Mullah, you tweeted literally hours after this attack, and you said this attack is known by local leaders. How did you know?
No, first, I mean, there's one point I agree with him. I mean, the issue we are facing of terrorism is bigger than any individual, and we lose focus, you know, if we concentrate on Ahmednassir Duale. I think it is important to take personalities out of this because terrorism affects every person. I mean, it is a war against the whole country. I mean, it has killed and maimed so many Kenyans, and all our efforts really, instead of, you know, scoring political points against one another, our efforts should be how do we vanquish, you know, these vile guys who are doing all this. But normally, I mean, from my experiences, anywhere in the world, when you see an attack, you know, the first people you should suspect are the locals.
Not West. We didn't suspect locals in Westgate.
Which one?
Westgate.
This is cosmopolitan, you know. This is like, I mean, this is the capital city, you know. You can't pinpoint. If someone attacks KICC, you can't say it's the people from South Sea or Isli or Westlands who attack it. But when there's a small locality, for example, in Turkana, when something happens in Turkana, I mean, you can't round up, you know, people in Kiambu. You can only round up the people in Turkana. So I think that's basically, you know, what I was saying. I mean, when something, for example, when the attack occurred in Mandera against the passes, impulsively, you know, the point that comes to your mind is that it must be something that involves, you know, the inhabitants of the local area. I mean, someone will not come from Baragoi, for example, to attack people in Mandera. So it's just common sense that, fair enough, I mean, planning and all this logistics may have taken, but any, you know, any police officer or any, you know, someone who is involved in this kind of investigation, the prime suspect you will have in mind are the people in the locality.
And that young man, the leader of the attackers, the son of the Mandera chief.
Yes.
Right? Homegrown. The others, we hear, could be, you know, not from the area, but they're Kenyans.
I mean, we don't know yet, but I think if you make an informed guess, there's a good chance that 90% are homegrown. They are Kenyans, you know, whatever regions they may come from. I mean, we don't know, I mean, why the government, for example, is keeping secret where the other three came from. But an informed guess will tell you that they are all Kenyans.
Mheshimiwa, a hashtag has been going around all week on Twitter, Arrest Duale, led by none other than Kakamega Senator Dr. Boni Khalwale.
You know what, I'm busy, let me tell you. The difference between me and Boni Khalwale, I'm a very pragmatic. I want to transform Kenya and more my constituency and my life. Boni Khalwale is busy telling the people of Kolomani or Kakamega that please brew changa and I was the first customer. So I mean, that kind of a person, we don't play the same league. You know, if you see a bullfighter and a leader of majority, I lead 34 members of parliament and senators from my region and my community. How many does Boni Khalwale lead? His party, UDF, has less than 9 members in the House, when my party has 76 members of parliament. I mean, please, we don't play the same league anyway.
No,
but coming to the what Ahmed was saying.
Yes.
We have a serious homegrown terror.
You can add that he also advertises the next scheduled bullfight.
That is.
And he always informs people that when the next bullfight is happening.
Yes.
So I just wanted to add that.
And of course,
yes.
And of course, 2 bulls fight, thousands come, they'll go back hungry.
Right.
Yeah, so what? But let me come back to it.
Yes.
We have a serious homegrown terror. From the last 3 years, the guy who was involved in the terror attack on the buses in Mandera was called Gitonga. He was not called Mohammed. He was a new convert, Meru, called Gitonga. There was Bure. So this terror is multi-faced, multi-ethnic, and it uses religious propaganda. It's no longer about the poor, the unemployed who are joining. This is a lawyer from the University of Nairobi who is a middle class, working. So what do we need to do as a country? What we need to do is first, how do we deal with the homegrown as Kenyans? And we must be united on this, across political, across ethnic, across religious. I watched the Secretary General of NCCK, you know, trying to create serious religious polarization in our country. And I want to ask him if he's watching me. Please, you can do better. We want to have more unity across religious lines.
Yeah.
It's the world that has divided us into geographical boundaries, religious divide, political, you know, sides. So we as a community feel time has come. We have reached the stage where U.S. reached at September 11, 2001, when the Americans said it's no longer business as usual.
Is that the same in Kenya?
Yes.
Okay, did you know this list before the Garissa attacks? Did you have the list? Did you know
list?
the people?
The list of shame?
No, the people who are supporting
the only list that I have is the one that I tabled, called the list of shame.
But let me interject. I think you need to give credit to, you know, Duale and the leaders from northern Kenya. Immediately when this event in Garissa happened, which everybody knows was very unfortunate, they came out to say that, you know, took full responsibility. I think they took full political responsibility and said that, you know, this occurred in our constituencies, this occurred in northern Kenya. As leaders, we take full responsibility, and we take upon ourselves a program where we will bring out, you know, the main financiers, the main culprits. How many of these young boys are out of the country? And that's, I think, why they took that. I think it's very important that, and people don't acknowledge it.
Okay.
I don't know why.
And before you finish,
yes,
I've just come back from Mandera this afternoon.
correct.
We were 2 days in Garissa, 2 days in Wajir, 2 days in Mandera, talking to stakeholders, talking to religious leaders, so they can come out and give a narrative to the contrary of what propaganda Al-Shabaab is giving. We have talked to the chiefs, we have talked to the women, and we have got a lot of information where parents are saying, we have got information, but where do we take it? And these are the reports that we want to share with government. But more fundamentally,
yes,
as Ahmed said, the matter of terror in our country, that question should not be trivialized, should not be name-calling. It's not about Duale. Duale resigned, you say, would that end Al-Shabaab? It's a time when this country must get united. It's a time when we must secure our borders. It's a time when Kenya becomes safe and sound. Everybody, the citizens, the government, the leadership must come.
But we can't help calling names, and that's Kenya's nature, calling names. And speaking of names, there's a Duale on a list of people who are most wanted in your area. Duale, he could be related to you. Is he Hassan Mohammed Duale?
There are many Duales. One, I'm related to all Duales. Any Duale who's a Somali, I'm related to him.
So this is your relation?
Which Duale? The Duale on the list?
Yes.
I told you, any Duale, there's no biological blood relationship. But the moment he's a Duale and he's a Somali and he's a Kenyan, and that's why, you know, I saw people bring back what I said in Isli. And I want to say it categorically today. If tomorrow the Somali community are harassed by any group, I will stand for them the way I will stand for any other Kenyan. And I always say, I'll say it tonight, I am proud to be a Kenyan. I am proud to be a Muslim, and I'm proud to be from the Somali community. Period. If you have issues with that, then you have to live with the Duale for the next century.
Grand Mullah, what do we do about this radicalization? Because, you know, you both admitted this is a serious, serious problem. What do? We know it's there. We know it exists. How do we counter it? How do we destroy this dragon?
I mean, I think it's a difficult question to answer because this is a new phenomenon, and you know, it's not just Somalis or people from the coast, you know, who are participating in this radicalization.
From Kiambu.
Yes, there are many other Kenyans, you know, these converts, you know, they're the people who are most easy to mislead, you know, the people who it's so easy to promise paradise when the guy who's promising wants to stay on earth. So there's a lot of, I mean, I think the most important thing is community efforts. You know, you can't take the community out of this. Everybody has a role to play, whether it's politician, whether it is the professionals, whether it is the local government, whether it is the, you know, the chiefs. Every one of us must play his role. If we don't, we'll have this problem.
We're in trouble.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa, I have to ask you a question before we go to break, and that is, and you've been asked this a lot, the day of the attacks, you were one of the first people on the ground. Credit to you, you were on the ground. Meanwhile, Recce squad is sitting in Roiro, waiting to be deployed. 6-7 hours later, when they were finally deployed, they attacked in 12 to 18 minutes. What were you doing on the ground and you weren't being helpful?
I am not the Minister for Internal Security. That's an operational matter. I went to Garissa as the Member of Parliament to go and condole and stay with my people. Why Recce company? Recce company, I was in Garissa, they came around half past midday.
Half past midday?
Half past midday in 2 police caravans.
Others came by road?
Caravans. I don't know about those who came by road. I can tell you because I was with the Honorable Minister and the IG in their command center. They never took 12 minutes. They took close to 45 minutes.
Which is better than the 6 hours that they waited.
So, when were they lifted? Why they were not lifted? I saw somebody who used the police aircraft to pick his
relations,
his daughter and blah blah.
Yes.
That guy by now should have been sacked, in my opinion.
And he's not.
No, he should. He should be sacked.
But you know, I mean, the problem with Kenya is we are a country that is very focused on what I call episodic events. An event occurs, we analyze. What we don't analyze is the systemic institutional failure in this country. I mean, the institutions in this country are failed, you know. I mean, the police don't do their work, the AP probably don't do their work, the military most of the time do work that's not their job. I mean, this country doesn't function as a normal country. So every time we have an attack, then we see that, you know, we have embarrassed ourselves in front of the world. Yeah. We moan and moan and moan and learn nothing from that. I mean, we had Westgate. What have we learned from Westgate? Nothing. There were 2 attacks in Mandera involving a number of Kenyans. What have we learned? Nothing. So every mistake that occurs, every incident that occurs, there is zero learning. I mean, for example, now Garissa, 147 people died. That's a lot of number. There is no commission, independent commission that has been appointed. There is no, you know, we will learn nothing from that. Then later on, there will be another event, hopefully not. Then the same event will occur and we will learn nothing. Yeah. We just mourn, we blame 1 or 2 persons. No, but what we are having as the foundation of this is systemic institutional failures in this country.
I mean, I agree with Ahmed. I mean, it's a historical, systemic failure. But I'm sure the new guys in the office, the new CS, the IG, there's a lot to be done in terms of operational matters. But having said that, in December we passed very critical laws. In this country, laws are passed. But the implementation metrics is the one that has failed.
Systemic failure.
So systemic failure. But I'm sure, I want to say that in the war against Al-Shabaab or in the war against terror, communities must be involved, communities must play a very big role. Kenyans must be united. We must look at it as an enemy. We are at war. We have an external enemy. We have an internal enemy. And we must make sure, and I'll ask even the minister, that amnesty has given should not be 10 days.
No.
It should be 1 month. I mean,
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that after the break. And also,
just before.
Yes.
How many people have we arrested in the last 10 years involved in these terrorist activities? I think over 100. What convictions do we have? 0.
None.
None.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, should we withdraw from Somalia? Question 1. Question 2. What is so lucrative about Kismayo? We understand, we read about the sugar route, sugar barons.
One, we will.
Hold the thought.
No.
Hold the thought. We'll take a break. Come back, because I know you have a lot to say. Two questions when we come back.
The sugar and the withdrawal.
And the troops.
Ready for it.
At HON Aden Duale, at Ahmednassir Law, at Koinange. The bench is literally coming apart, because these 2 leaders, if you will, from the north are speaking out. That's what this conversation is all about. Getting to the genesis of the Garissa attacks. Fort 147 is not just a number. That's what we'll continue to interrogate. Jeff Koinange Live takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.